Good morning, folks. This is Waylon Lewis from Boulder, Colorado. Good morning, sunshine. So I'm going to try a little experiment here, which is to read two articles that I feel like were very well received or popular in the past, but are kind of lost today. And I think they're important. For any of you who have had the experience of going to yoga class and seeing your yoga teacher maybe doesn't have the best alignment training or spends more time adjusting their iPod playlist than adjusting students, or you have issues or questions about the yoga industry, the festivals, the conferences, the magazines, the websites, the products that are made in China or made of PVC and are really bad for you. If an editor comes on, you could share the interview I just did on how the foundation of yoga is literally toxic, carcinogenic, cancer-causing. That was a pretty revelatory interview for myself, after which I got rid of my mat of 10 years. So I'm going to read two brief articles. One is called, I titled it, Yoga, the Ancient Wisdom of Californians. And after a Onion cartoon about yoga. So it's titled, actually, The Future of Yoga, or Lack Thereof. And if this is really boring, me just reading something that's well written and a little more concise than I normally am, just let me know in comments and I'll never do it again. Alrighty, so it's titled The Future of Yoga, or Lack Thereof. In analogy, food has changed more in the last 50 years than in the prior 10,000. Michael Pollan. Up until the 1940s or so, food was food, and had been food for, say, far longer than 5,000 years. We cultivated varieties of apples, etc., so that they'd be delicious and healthy and hearty and hearty. After WW2, however, chemical warfare companies needed to find a way to make money in peacetime. Remarkably, companies, cough, Monsanto, dedicated to killing and poison transitioned into fertilizer and since 2002, genetically modified foods. Where only 50 years ago, this is an analogy, there were, say, 100 varieties of easily accessible tomatoes at your friendly local market stand. Now we have, say, just 3 varieties of tomato in your average grocery store. The Irish potato famine happened because the crop was vulnerable. It all got killed all at once by one damn blight. We're setting ourselves up for this again on an epic scale. This time, all food everywhere in its newly homogenized form is vulnerable to virus or disease. And food, of course, is the basis of all life: health, happiness, business, mortgages, jobs, you know, everything. Getting to the point at hand. Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, say where you're from. Hello, Leslie from Tustin. I'm sharing that little concern because in my view, yoga is, right now, in an analogous situation. We wouldn't know it, however, not yet. We have amazing teachers like Richard Freeman, T.S. Little, Georg Feuerstein, who has since died, who know their stuff, who know enough that, as Richard said last month, to know that they don't know that much still. He said this in a pranayama and lecture class I attended and dragged a colleague to, who would have much preferred a real yoga class, physical, at the Yoga Journal Conference in Estes Park, Colorado, which is about to happen again this year. And if Richard Freeman's vast knowledge of yoga doesn't, in his estimation, amount to that much still, well, imagine the knowledge of our average to wonderful yoga teacher, or average to wonderful local yoga studio, or average to wildly ignorant yoga student, or teacher who graduated from your average to wonderful 2-week yoga teacher training that accepts all applicants provided they can cut a check. Now, I'm not saying yoga teachers of my generation aren't good people. Some of them are. Many are charming, charismatic, caring, sweet. But many don't know or care much about alignment. Yoga without alignment is dangerous. Many play music in class, which is horrible or fine depending on your point of view. Many are ambassadors for Lululemon or other marketing marketing happy clothing companies that don't bother to make eco or fair labor fashion, but do bother to spend millions in R&D to make sure your tush looks fit. I need another sip of coffee. So far, this is wildly popular, according to the numbers. So I'll keep going, and I hope this is a more eloquent, succinct version of one of our normal discussions. And then we'll have I'll go over comments. So if you have comments or questions, go for it. But do bother to spend millions in R&D to make sure your tush looks fit. Many teachers have great Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, blog, and general new media, social media presence. Snapchat. Some have agents and iPhone apps and books. All of that is good. We're doing an incredible amount to get yoga out to the masses who might otherwise not give a care. The other day I went on a hike with a yoga teacher who in college was a bit lost in the world of partying and fancy jeans and shallow relationships, her words, and for whom yoga with music, I'm sure, was her one outlet, her one connection to the sweet Catholicism of her youth, her one connection in those crazy, hazy years to relaxation, to living more healthfully, and now she's as happy and sweet and genuine a person as you've ever met. So the yoga celebs, Tara Stiles, Elena Brower, Sadie Nardini, Baron Baptiste, Bikram, Catherine Budig, Sean Korn, John Friend, and random local teachers of the world, I namaste and om to you in gratitude. I mean it. No, seriously, I mean it. Our speedy, materialistic, silly, wonderful society needs an hour or two of peace and breath a day or week, and yoga for the masses provides that. Yoga is a tonic for the world's ills. But who among us is studying yoga in the depth that the last generation did? Not me. Who is stewarding the roots of yoga, which are about stilling the waves of the mind, as Patanjali puts it? Is meditation a part of your typical yoga class? No. But Thievery Corporation or Michael Franti or Govinda or Jack Johnson or Gotan Project or whoever now is. It's been a few years since I wrote this. Sites like Yoga Glow give me hope if we can dig up and or archive the teachings of Richard and Patricia Walden and Judith Hanson Lassiter and Tim Miller, let alone BKS Iyengar and Patabi Joyce and others. Future generations will have a wealth of real, live teachings to learn from. I talked with Yoga Glow at Yoga Journal Conference and asked if they'd begin offering more lectures and study sessions, not just asana classes. I'm not sure if they have done that. Because yoga isn't what we picture when we hear the word yoga. It's not yoga pants. It's not young models exercising with pastel backgrounds before they get back into their SUV and pop by Whole Foods to grab some quinoa in a plastic to-go container for their 1.8 children. What is yoga? 1. Yoga is a spiritual path. Yoga is about becoming a more fully present, genuine, compassionate person. And 2, yoga is, for those who don't want to become happy, holy, spiritual types, a physical exercise that will, as a pleasant side effect, open up your mind and heart so that you, yes you, are a better business person, saner lover, better parent, more focused athlete, relaxed child. Both are yoga, but we must take care of the less marketable, less saleable form of yoga, lest in ignoring the roots we lose the flower. Richard and the last generation of yoga greats are still teaching, so this little question might not seem urgent. But in just 10 years, who will present yoga in depth and who will learn from it? Not the legions of new yoga teachers who pass through the doors of Core Power and YogaWorks each month. Again, God bless them, larger, more accessible studios are creating genuine, peaceful armies of good people in this crazy world. So, will you or your favorite local yoga teacher accept this important challenge and responsibility and study, practice, and teach yoga's roots? So I then followed up, I don't know if we have an editor in here, but if we do, with my video with Richard Freeman, Cutting Yoga Ambition. So what I just read to you is from The Future of Yoga, and if there is an editor, if you could put that in the comments, that would be great. It's also alternatively titled Yoga, the Ancient Wisdom of Californians, after the Onion article. And this was hugely popular according to the numbers, so maybe we'll continue with this. I recently wrote an article titled The Yoga Industry is Not Yoga. I actually wrote this a year ago now. And Rachel Brathen, a friend of mine Yoga Girl on Instagram just wrote about this. Wrote about what I wrote and about her issues around the same issues. So I know it's still sort of current and relevant in some way. But I think reading that would be too much. But maybe I could read that again if people are interested. And in the meantime, we could put that in the comments. It's titled "The Yoga Industry is Not Yoga." So today I just wanted to touch on what is real yoga. And I think most of us, in a very healthy way, would be turned off by that question. We would say, yoga can be anything. How dare you try to define yoga? But at the same time, kind of like the famous quote by that judge about pornography, we know true yoga when we see it. We know false yoga that isn't good for us when we see it. So on a very simple level, genuine yoga involves mindfulness of the breath. Genuine yoga involves teaching and practicing healthy alignment. Many yoga classes that I go to barely or don't mention alignment or breath consciously at all. And there's almost no adjustments in terms of alignment. I'll look over and I'll see students in very dangerous postures. And I know for myself, I got to practice at the yoga workshop, Richard Freeman's in Boulder, for many years. And after many years, I was doing up dog, pretty simple posture that you learn right away. And Angel Lynn, wonderful teacher, said, "Hey, you're slightly off here." And she corrected me. I forget exactly how. This was years ago. And she said, if you had continued doing that for, 10, 20 years, you actually would injure yourself. And those are the kind of moments when you realize that yoga is subtle. Yoga takes a depth of practice and understanding and teaching. And I am concerned about that now, where yoga is really about, my yoga feed seems to be on Instagram is 90% about being sexy, being fashionable, being kind of like a model. And nothing's wrong with that. Again, that's accessible. Again, that's fun. Again, that's great. But, it's really powerful when there's teachers like Yoga Girl, Rachel Brathen, who in the caption at least communicates something about the depth and the learning that yoga really is about. Yoga isn't about just having a great yoga butt or being fit, although those are fine benefits. So I'm going to go into the comments, and if there is an editor on, hopefully those links are in here. I'm still not... Oh yeah, I'm seeing one of them. So James, getting bored and wanting to do some yoga. So this is yoga. Yoga is not asana. Asana is one limb or aspect of yoga. And yoga, as Patanjali defined it, is the purpose of yoga is to still the waves of the mind, to be present. And then another limb or aspect of yoga is to be of service and to be of benefit to this world, to have a sense of humor about ourselves and kindness for others. So there's a little quote for Lindsay. And I also did want to mention, we do have mindful sponsors that make these videos possible. We only accept people who we feel mission aligned with. And we do have free shipping for Jade yoga mats, which are not PVC. PVC is one of the known and identified carcinogens. If I have that info live, I can just share it with you about the carcinogens. Looks like I don't have it pulled up, but most of you know PVC, polyvinyl chloride, no on vinyl, and that's final. So please don't practice on PVC. It's much better to donate that mat to folks who want to use it or need to use it. I just gave mine away. There's really no good way to get rid of it, so at least it being used is, at this point it's already made, is better, but it's far better to support the creation of mats that are made from trees, renewable resource, rubber in this case, and we have free shipping for all of you by way of encouraging you to do that with Jade. So Travis, if you can put Jade in the comments, that would be great. All righty, I'm going to go through any comments, and I hope all of you are doing great and having a great Monday. Hedy, great name, like Hedy Lamarr, the old Hollywood star. I was studying yoga in 1986. This phony industry is not real yoga. I do want to point out one positive thing about the changes in yoga is that even 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, women really couldn't practice yoga, maybe 80, 90 years ago now. So there are really positive changes too. This isn't just a negative thing. It's just about protecting the roots as yoga flourishes and grows and expands. And you have disco yoga and you have Instagram, Snapchat. Yoga is everywhere. We need to protect what it is and the power that it can have to be of benefit to us in the world. All right, Nicole. Thank you. We need to speak out more like this. Good job teaching the truth. Thank you. Stephanie, Leslie, Paula, Florida, Stuart Davis, Asbury Park, Nishita from London, Paula from London. I want to hear your accent. Natasha, oh, you're tagging someone. Mick from Belgium. Hey, Mick. Denise from Fort Collins. Tracy, Portland, South Carolina. I'm just reading this so you get an idea. It's pretty cool. If you're tuning in just now, give it a like or a share or a comment or criticism. Anything is welcome. And if you are just tuning in, if you say where you're from, it's always fun to see the worldwide kind of web, right? Nicole, as a yoga teacher who has been teaching for 5 years, my outlook is different than most my age. I prefer to take it back to the Ayurveda way. What do you think about the selfies and how it plays into ego? Well, so from a Buddhist point of view, ego is not bad. Ego is not a problem unless we fully buy into it. So it's fine that there's selfies. It's fine that there's Instagram. It's fine that there's Snapchat. It's fine that yoga has become the superficial, speedy thing where a class longer than an hour is considered too long. When you go to yoga workshop with Richard Freeman, classes are 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever, they're long. And you actually are able to really get into stuff, and it's quite powerful. But 99% of the yoga market, yoga industry, as people call it, and it is not a market or industry, it's a community, it's a practice. 90% of that community would probably consider a class longer than an hour and a half to be ridiculous now. So I find that a little sad. But I think you can take all of that sadness or all of that ego, and as long as there's some wakeful meditation or alignment or intention, and that's the third aspect to what I would call genuine yoga. If your intention is to wake up, to still the waves of the mind, and to be helpful to the world and to others, then your yoga can look like just about anything. All right. Dana, Florida, preach it, please. So those are the three aspects of what I would consider mindful or genuine yoga. All right, Luminata from Dublin. Ray, thanks from So True from the OC. What is that? Orange County? And we need the traditional yoga philosophy. Nicole, hi from Fort Polk. What a cute name. Fort Polk, Louisiana. Summer, I can't love this enough. Awesome. Shala. Cool name. Alignment is bullshit, dude. And most yoga teachers ain't well trained enough in anatomy to be giving most people any advice about how their bodies align. Yeah, so I think actually we kind of agree, except for the first sentence. I would say yoga teachers need to be well trained enough in anatomy, in alignment. And Richard Freeman and T.S. Little and others make sure that happens. Paula, after 50 years on Earth, you have helped me realize I need meditation. Meditation is good stuff, and we'll end this video with 2 minutes of meditation. Tammy, I was reading The Future of Yoga, which is something I wrote a couple years ago. You'll see it's outdated in a few ways, and it's in the comments. Nicole, nude yoga is a fad that I feel degrades true yoga. What do I think? I've never really actually seen or nude yoga being advertised or practiced. I think it's a much smaller issue than, say, Snapchat or Instagram or the kind of selfie yoga stuff. What is with all the pictures and pictures with dogs. Rarely is there a meaningful message. Sorry, Monica, I'm confused. No pictures of dogs here, although dogs are awesome. Bonnie, how can you make a living from yoga if you don't market? Exactly. Great question. So nothing's wrong with marketing. Nothing's wrong with Facebook. Nothing's wrong with Facebook Live. Nothing's wrong with communicating. But if all you're communicating is that I'm hot and you're not, or that my body fits cultural ideas of beauty, or that it's sort of about me and my career, and you're not communicating how to be helpful to others, then you're using or perverting yoga. And ironically, if you communicate how it can be of benefit to others in a genuine, non-hypey way, they'll be attracted to your yoga. For example, I don't go to yoga teachers twice who seem to be there's a lot of popular yoga teachers who are all about sort of cult of personality and who they are, instead of alignment, intention, and breath or meditation. Ray, 99% practice, 1% theory. That theory is very important through your practice. Amen. Yeah, in Buddhism we would say 50-50, but I'll take 1%. Metta, thank you. Deepa. Kari, Dallas. Yeah, there's the future of yoga in the comments. Nishita, you feel this talk is anti-yoga and hypocritical to the message I am trying. I'm not really sure everything what you're saying, but I'm happy to discuss. Oh, that I'm trying to get across. So how is this message hypocritical? Just say more. Bonnie, they're spitting out yoga teachers. Amen. Yoga teacher training is big business. Nothing wrong with that, but hopefully these teachers are getting the gifts that they're paying for, the gifts of intention, the gifts of breath, meditation, the gifts of alignment and anatomy study. I really highly recommend Richard Freeman's yoga teacher training in Boulder, Colorado. I know that one, and it's for real. It's hard stuff. It's hard to get into, too. But he only probably will keep teaching for another, who knows, 5-10 years. He and Mary Taylor. So get in line if you're inspired. And if you're ready. Susan, great to hear someone finally come out and say this. Yoga has lost something in the West. Anna, hey. Tina, why is my shirt open? Why not? It's hot. Why are you focusing on that instead of what we're discussing? Why am I wearing a hat? Why am I drinking coffee? My shirt is open because I just woke up a couple hours ago, and I'm not really together. My bad. Mary, can I practice yoga and be a Christian? You damn right. I personally would say, hell yeah. So yoga is spiritual, and it does have religious roots, but you can practice a lot of yoga, compassion, mindfulness, meditation, asana, without needing to get into the sort of Hindu or spiritual roots. And besides, Christianity and the spirituality of yoga, true Christianity, true yoga, have a lot in common, which is mercy, charity, hope, compassion. I think hell to the yes. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it to a Christian, but yes. Nicole, the sexy and fashion side of yoga has turned people away. It is taking ego over finding your inner strength and peace. Nicole, yeah, I don't think it's either or. I think both are fine, but if we get caught up in the look at my body, look at how hot I am on Instagram, it just at some point becomes about career instead of about practice. If it's about practice, our ego, everything can be of service to the path of practice. It's fine. So we can have a sense of humor about it. We don't have to be all kind of us versus them about it, which I tend to do. I'm making fun of myself, not you. But you're right. If we buy into the sort of sexy look at me aspect of yoga on Instagram or whatever, that can be bad for us, unhealthy for us. Michelle, from the school without walls of yoga. Yoga is a personal practice, and if some people choose to have the wrong intention, that is their issue. Michelle, yes, but yoga is also a sacred trust. So if I say, if I substitute yoga with, say, anything you might care about, like if you have a baby or if you have a child, if I say, my child is your deal, and if some people choose to have the wrong intention with my child, that's their issue. No, it's not. It affects the child. It affects the baby. It affects the sacred trust that is yoga and the community. So when people use yoga or use Buddhism or use anything sacred or important, any practice for messed up reasons, that does have an effect. On the other hand, if we bring our ego and our messed up reasons to yoga, to Buddhism, to meditation, and we lay it down on the path as sacrifices to our practice with a sense of humor and devotion and wanting to be of benefit, that is fantastic. So I don't think anything goes, but I know our culture does. Gina from San Diego. Lucy, different yoga for different people. That I agree with. Yoga can look like many, many different things. We are not saying, you shall practice yoga like this, or you shall be excommunicated. That's why I say intention. That's why I say breath. That's why I say alignment. These are incredibly fundamental. I'm not saying this kind of yoga is better than this kind of yoga, and this kind of yoga is better than, and Instagram is bad. And this isn't some sort of like Republican yoga talk. You must do this, or you're out. I don't know why I sound like Arnold. All right. Michelle is also bored with me. Welcome to the club. It's a large club. Tina, so is marketing yoga mats yoga? Yeah, I deserve to be called on that. I would say I'm an environmentalist, and I do think yoga should be practiced in an eco-responsible way. Yoga should be practiced in a walk our talk way. Yoga practice, if it's on a PVC, selfish, cancer-causing foundation, is not good. Yoga people should care about the planet, should care about the world. So, and again, marketing and all these things aren't bad if they're eco-responsible, if they're good for our practice and good for the world. So this isn't some sort of black and white kind of thing. It's kind of just common sense. I do think it's a crime that yoga people practice without caring or knowing on carcinogenic mats. You and I, we all unfortunately have friends. 1 out of 2 men in America now gets some form of cancer before he dies. 1 out of 3 women. I think cancer is incredibly heartbreaking, and it's not good for the planet. Plastic is not good for the planet. PVC is not good for the planet. Yes, I would love for everyone to be practicing on rubber mats that are not bad for them or our planet. Joe Fox, you must say this is rather dull. No, you mustn't. You could just move on. But you did, so thank you. And again, I am pretty dull. All right, Nicole, the yoga rugs are my favorite. Yeah, yoga rugs are great. I slip and slide over yoga rugs, so they don't totally work for me unless I'm super sweaty, but that's like 10 or 20 minutes into my practice. But each to her own. Brittany, hello from Dubai. Monica, how can a yoga instructor teach 2 to 3 classes a day and be able to send meaningful messages deeply? There is so much about it that I love, but the talking message before class is usually missing. Also, why are instructors not doing a pose with the class every now and then? Yeah, Monica, ideally yoga teachers would do as many poses as possible with the class, but it's also good for them to keep an eye on the alignment and where the class is at. I do think, teaching yoga is really hard. They often don't make much money. They have to teach a ton of classes to make a living, and then it gets repetitious. But a yoga teacher who loves their craft will remember that teaching yoga is also a privilege, and there's a lot harder repetitious jobs out there, and that you just have to find joy in the present moment, which is our practice anyway. And one of my favorite teachers in Boulder, Billy, he has the same old jokes you hear every single time, but they're always sort of fun and unique and in the moment. And if you really love teaching and love the practice of yoga, it'll just feel fresh, even if you have to do it a million times. But there's no question that it's a challenge. Monica, great question. Anyone who wants to like a great question, fantastic. Dawn, I just signed up for yoga classes, my gift to myself for my birthday. I'm doing it for health reasons, both physical, spiritual, and mental. I made certain not to join a yoga studio that is trendy. Seems to be the cool thing to do right now. I agree with you 100% from Chicago. Everyone here needs yoga in their life. Dawn, I would love for you to blog about that. Anyone here inspired, if you disagree with me, if you're bored by me, if you agree, if you want to write and contribute and share your experience, elephantjournal.com/submit. Dawn, I would love to hear about how your yoga gift for your birthday to yourself goes and why you're doing it and how that goes. I love that. That's such a great inspiration for a birthday gift to ourselves. Kelly, hello from Tucson. Hello. I've been to Tucson a few times. Lydia from Minnesota. I've been to Minneapolis a bunch. Biked around. Diana, Tampa. Windsor, Colorado. Ohio. Marion, I've just started my yoga teacher training. Any advice as I begin my journey? Marion in San Diego, but originally from Melbourne. Oh, so you have an amazing accent. Marion, I think just really approach it with love and with focus and read a ton, study a ton, seek out great teachers. Like I have interviews with Cindy Lee, T.S. Little, Richard Freeman, many others. If you go to youtube.com/elephant journal and search yoga, you'll find probably 100 teachers there. Sean Korn. Find the teachers that you really connect with, and hopefully you connect with them not just on a level of personality, the kind of cult of personality that is so big in yoga, but on again their ability to be of service to the world, intention, that kind of thing. Marion, good luck to you, and congrats. I find some yoga studios rather exclusive and snobby. Francie, yeah, that's just human nature. I mean, we love to make everything exclusive and snobby so we feel special, so we don't feel lonely and worthless. So everyone's cliquey everywhere you go. And what I would encourage you to do is to just reach out, and hopefully people aren't that cliquey as they seem. Like I know I go to a climbing gym, and from the outside they all seem like they're in great shape and they're all hanging out together and it's very closed. But if you jump in and you kind of make fun of yourself and you talk with them and you climb, everyone's so supportive and sweet. And I hope yoga can be the same. Holly, I mean, if yoga people can't be kind, what are we doing? Holly, Kriya. Bonnie, Los Angeles needs help, too much Hollywood. Yeah, but there's some amazing teachers in LA, like Eric Schiffman. One of my favorite classes I've ever taken was, it was actually in Ojai, but I believe he lives in LA. Sean Korn is there. She's very Hollywood, but she's also wonderful. There's a lot of great teachers I've studied with in LA. All right, Nicole, I've never looked at ego like that. Thank you. Yeah, big blessings to you. I highly recommend books by Trungpa Rinpoche. He talks about ego not from a bad point of view, but from a kind of ego he talks about as being like fertilizer, like poop, like shit. And you can use it to grow great crops. So you don't get rid of it. You kind of, you use it. But you also don't buy into it and jump into it. Shannon, I live in the suburbs of Chicago and it's hard to find authentic yoga classes near me. Everything is body image based. I've been trying to utilize YouTube as my tool that's smart for learning a purer form of yoga. Do you have any online yogis you would suggest or other helpful resources? Well, I just mentioned my interviews with a ton of great yogis that I really love. Dharma Mitra is another one on my channel. They're discussions, not asana. YouTube.com/elephant journal. Amy Apoliti, we have a good discussion. A lot of them are probably boring to a lot of you, but I really enjoy these issues of intention because I grew up in this Buddhist community and I want to be of benefit. And when I find yoga teachers who want that same thing, I get really excited. And I love to call out the opposite, not in a mean way, hopefully, but in a helpful way. So online resources, maybe other folks could say, but I think that's the right approach is YouTube or Yoga Glow or whatever you're doing. There's probably some great teachers on there. And I also bet in Chicago suburbs, you could find some amazing teachers, just really networking and reaching out. Often these great teachers aren't popular and aren't supported by studios. Like some of my favorite teachers in Boulder, it's very hard to take a class with them. You have to go to their house or what have you. Yeah, Sherry, I was obliquely referring to the eight-limb path. Thank you. And most people haven't studied that. I haven't studied it much. I don't claim to be a yoga expert or a teacher, but I do care. Ken, Toronto. Do you think that self-study is a potent response to the yoga biz? Can the essence be discovered outside spiritual materialism? Beautiful question. I do think self-study is good, but I also think self-study with other like-minded self-studiers is powerful, and self-practice with others is powerful. And yeah, spiritual materialism. There's a wonderful book by Trungpa, who I mentioned, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. I highly recommend. Bonnie, not well trained. I think you're talking about what we were talking about before. Shannon, yoga is a personal thing, in my opinion anyway. Everybody gets something different out of depending on their goal. That's true. I personally don't enjoy a class setting because of many of the things you mentioned. Selfie yoga, selfie marketing. Everyone is pushing their ebooks, diets, clothing, etc. Yes, some of that is okay if it's eco-responsible, if it's actually helpful for the path. But basically, 90% of the yoga industry is superfluous and bad for the environment and kind of useless. Really, all you need for yoga practice is a hardwood floor or a rug, a good mat if you need it. I personally like to use one, and some good instruction, maybe a YouTube video or going to a good local class, and that's that. Austin has big sweaty balls. I think this is his way to meet the ladies. Good to know, Austin. Bonnie, Kino. Yeah, Kino has been a columnist with us for many years. She's great. Kino Yoga, I think she has a pretty good YouTube channel. Melissa, I live in the mountains of upstate New York. It's impossible to find a true practice you speak of. I was using Rodney and Patricia Walden videos at home. I love Patricia Walden. Rodney's a sweet guy, but has some complications. Patricia, I'm a big fan of. Melissa, it's sad that so many yoga teachers teach only the asana practice, and that's what a lot of Americans associate yoga with, working out. Exactly. Melissa, great. I teach yoga from all the 8 limbs, and so many students tell me they've never done yoga like that before. How sad is that? Melissa, please write an article. elephantjournal.com/submit. So helpful. Mary, I answered your question. Elle wants to know why the sky is blue. I'll answer the same answer that Calvin's dad gave to Calvin of Calvin and Hobbes. He said it's blue because, and then he made up some random BS because he didn't know. Hetty, thanks. Been looking for a great training. Bonnie, take my clothes off. All right. Karen, you don't need to be perfect. Amen. None of us do, which is good because none of us are or can be. Anna, can be too short. It takes a long time to mind the bodies on the mat. Alignment is safety and takes time. You should always be learning as a teacher. Yeah, alignment is really important. Yoga actually can break your body if done with bad alignment. It actually can be almost un-yoga if you don't have good instruction. All right, Isabel, it's sad too because people feel like they can't practice yoga because they feel like they need to be flexible and to do handstands and practice due to what they're seeing on Instagram, Facebook. I love this talk so much. Thank you, Isabel. I would love for you to write something. Yeah, yoga is not about being a yoga master. A lot of the most popular yoga accounts are these sort of yoga acrobatics, yoga calisthenics. Yoga is not about form or being perfect. Yoga is about practice. Old folks need yoga. Amen. Especially as we get older. I know I do. Ashwini, why do you think pranayama is not included as a part of a yoga class in America? I think Americans generally, here's the big bet. I'll just be really frank. Meditation is powerful stuff. It's relatively simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Why is meditation not this huge fad in America that's making billions of dollars? Why is yoga this huge fad in America that is making billions of dollars? It's because it's good exercise. So basically, Americans don't particularly care about breathing, pranayama. They don't particularly care about meditation. Both of them are great, and we'll do them a little here, a little there, maybe. But exercise, and this is not a bad thing, is really something we all want to spend an hour or two doing a day, or many of us do. And so it's natural that asana is going to be overwhelmingly popular, and pranayama and meditation will have a little slice of the pie over here. So, anyway, AARP crowd. Carolyn, your original yoga teacher was amazing, but like anything, excellence is rare. Wonderful when you find it. Excellence is rare, but also just good intention. Some yoga teachers may not be famous or anything, but they could have beautiful intention and really care about their practice and study. Mike already said I'm not an expert, but I do care. And I think your kind of question, while completely welcome and fair, I am clearly not an expert. I find it really off-putting in the sense that it's a way to shut people down. And many, many people out there who I'm talking with, tens of thousands of people out there care. And if you say to all of them, oh, you can't question this stuff because you're not an expert, it's just a way of shutting people down. Nobody is a yoga expert, and anyone who claims to be a yoga expert is probably not a yoga expert. And the few yoga experts out there, like Richard Freeman, etc., would be the first to say they barely know anything, and it's true. And I already said that, so maybe you missed the beginning. Anyway, thank you for your insulting question, and I'm not insulting. It's very fair. I'm not an expert. I'm a huge idiot. I have been practicing for a while, and I have had the rare opportunity to interview hundreds of yogis and to ask them about these questions. So from a journalistic point of view, I might be an expert. But other than that, I'm an idiot, and we all know that. Robin, yes, old folk do need yoga. Amen. And younger folk do too. Lori, want to begin yoga. What do I look for to find the non-fad, not look at me, I'm amazing yoga? You'll just trust yourself. When you go to various teachers, you'll find ones who care about your alignment, who care about the reason we're practicing yoga, intention, and who care about breath. And my main advice is don't get caught up in the cult of personality, the kind of popular, kind of like rock star yogis. They could be great teachers. That's not a sign that they're bad. That's just, don't get caught up in that. That's just not what it's about. If they're a great yoga teacher in alignment, breath, intention, and they're kind of showy and all that, then you got a great show and you got great yoga. Bonus. Lori, beautiful question. And if you let us know where you are, maybe we can try and help. I'm amazing. Not the look at me, I'm amazing yoga teacher style, and you want spiritual calmness and to be able to walk in as a beginner with a so-called non-yoga body. Yeah, I mean, you should be fully comfortable and welcome walking. We have some beautiful articles about, they have pretty challenging titles, but they're written by the authors. The only fat girl in the yoga class, something like that. We have a couple of those articles, and they're really beautiful and powerful. Curvy yoga. Travis, if any editor is here, you could put a couple of those in. Hannah Hooper. Hey, Waylon, or for any of you listening, you can just Google curvy yoga, elephantjournal.com, some great articles, or the only fat girl in the yoga class on elephantjournal.com, and they're really beautiful articles. Hannah, hey Waylon, thanks for bringing forth and talking about an important topic. Things we are never black and white, but we need to remember the essence and true intention of yoga. Amen. Yeah, and just coming back to that body thing, everyone has different bodies. And like they say about the bikini body, what is a good bikini body? A bikini body is a body in a bikini. What is a good yoga body? A good yoga body is a body doing yoga. So come as you are. Yoga is not for perfect people. Yoga is for us, any of us. Shireen, Republican Yoga Talk, LOL. Alina, I see the yoga police out too often, sirens blaring, people dictating to others what yoga should be for them. You can't decide for anyone but yourself what authentic yoga is. Yeah, I agree with most of that. I do think it can go to extremes, though, that there is some foundation of what yoga is, that it can't just be anything. But you're right, we don't need to. Wow, you left your comments 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Bonnie, you just ate your words. Fuck you. Wow, Bonnie, you're having a good day. I don't know which words I ate, but I probably ate most of them. Christian, I'm wearing my funny hat again. Yeah, Dean, thank you. Amen. Austin continues with his ball comments. He's a little obsessed with his balls, which is probably why he's on Facebook, because he's not allowed to be obsessed with his balls in public, at least within a couple yards of a school. All right, Alina, Paul, no worries. Alina, all good. And I agree with 99% of your comment. I just think it is good if yoga has some kindness for our bodies instead of sort of aggressiveness, and if the alignment is part of it. La la la. Justine, I don't know how one can teach yoga, talk about ahimsa, blah blah blah, and still go and eat a steak. Yeah, I mean, I think ahimsa is fundamental, obviously, to yoga, so that's a great point. Dean has a great comeback. Easy with a fork and a knife. Kali, we don't do retreats, but I do really, yeah, I mean, we've thought about it. Lori's asking about Elephant Journal retreats. We've thought about inviting the teachers who we love and respect to do a yoga retreat that would include meditation and pranayama and some kind of eco-responsible teaching and fun, but it's a lot of work. We don't have a huge staff. Carolyn, I dislike power yoga. It's the anti-yoga and incorporates our rushed Western culture issues. Brittany, yeah, I agree. La la la. Wow, Austin. Travis, I think you're going to need to block Austin. Austin, I think you're going to have to say goodbye, because he's swearing now. Hetty, wish there was a good school in New York. New York City? Where in New York? Bikram. I think Bikram yoga can be a great gateway for many, many people. I think obviously Bikram, the founder, has serious issues with sexual assault and worse, possibly. And I obviously wouldn't go there. But hot yoga can be fantastic. Nicole, the danger of hot yoga is it allows your body to do things it normally couldn't. And then when you cool down, it can be a bit intense transition. So generally, I recommend not hot yoga and to build your own tapas, your own inner heat, right? Fort Polk is an army base. The army needs more yoga. If you ever do workshops, going to army bases would help a great deal. Yeah, just message us and let us know how we can do that, and I'd love to. In Chicago, check in with Jim Bennett. There's a recommendation for whoever was in yoga. Yeah, how about everyone in the comments, wherever you are, if you know a great, good, sweet, kind, caring yoga teacher who isn't just obsessed with themselves, leave them in their name in the comments, maybe their link, and where you are. Hey, Heidi in Massachusetts, can you suggest 2 or 3 books for a newish yoga student to study or read as I begin a more regular and intentional practice? I am not the expert here, but I would definitely recommend Patanjali, the Yoga Sutras. I would recommend Richard Freeman's, what is it? The Mirror of Yoga. And Cindy Lee has wonderful books. I love all of her books on yoga. What else do I have? Yeah, I can't think. But if others have great suggestions for yoga books, please go nuts. Okay, there's a bunch of links now in the comments, a bunch of good suggestions. This video keeps getting more popular, so I guess this Republican yoga talk is doing well. A student told me she wanted to practice yoga but ate meat. I guess she was told you have to be vegetarian to do yoga. Does anyone else think this? You definitely don't have to be vegetarian to do yoga in America or in the West or 99% of the world. In yoga, there is something foundational about ahimsa, which is non-harming, which also would come back to the PVC yoga mats. But yeah, I think eating less meat is generally a helpful thing. Eating organic. If you are eating meat, making sure it's truly pasture raised, not factory farmed. I'm vegan. I think all of us can agree that factory farming is torture and is not kind. All right. Jody, the fashion yoga industry is winning and it's almost financially impossible to keep a studio going if you don't. Jody, I wish I could disagree, but I can't. Jessica Winterstern, love to you. Jessica just put up a great article on elephant. Check it out. Search her name in elephantjournal.com and you'll find it. It's very brave and beautiful. Nicole and all of you should write elephantjournal.com/submit. And if you want to get Elephant's best stuff, not just our most viral stuff, which I think is often our worst stuff, if you want to get our best stuff, get elephantjournal.com/best. Free. AJ, doing yoga as I listen, being reminded of such great points. Thank you for doing this talk. Thank you. I'll do another one maybe tomorrow on the yoga industry is not yoga. The one that Rachel Brathen, our friend, my friend, and Yoga Girl wrote this great sort of rant about. Romina, so they say, so you're saying, how can you motivate me to practice yoga? I think, I don't know what Iyengar is healthy. I want to practice it, but I can't motivate myself. I think the bad news is that if you don't love doing it, you're really not going to do it. Yoga isn't about willpower or force. So the good news is I would say that the more you practice yoga, the easier it gets and the more fun it gets. Like when you're first starting or when you're really stiff like me right now, because I've been injured most of this year, yoga is really hard, and it's really hard, and it's really hard. And I think most of us think of yoga as being really beautiful and kind of fun, but it's hard. It brings up tons of resistance, and breathing into that resistance is part of the practice. So I would just be gentle, just practice, lightly, consistently with good alignment, and be gentle with yourself. Maitri is always a good blog to read if Travis is there. You could leave it in the comments and you could read that. So Ramina, fantastic question. Denise, hello from the Philippines. Margot, button my shirt. I refuse. Robin, why do we need to be criticizing? I don't think you've listened to most of this talk. It's not, criticizing is a sacred and respectful thing. Being jerk and being negative is not. So we're trying not to be jerky or negative here. Mindfulness is about keeping an open mind, not judging things as right or wrong. That's also not true. Mindfulness is about keeping an open mind. You are correct. But judging is actually wonderful. You judge that you should have an organic apple versus a McDonald's hamburger every day. You judge on which political candidates you're going to support. You judge that it's not good for your child to rush across the road. The problem is prejudging, judging based on fixed ideas, judging without new information, judging, as you say wonderfully, without an open mind. And that's called prejudging or prejudice, and that's the problem. Judging, judgment, justice, prajna, insight, discernment is fine. I wrote a blog about that, Travis, about judging, prajna, prejudging. If you could find that, that would be wonderful. Who are we to say what yoga is or isn't? I'm not sure if you've listened to this, so we're not saying what yoga is or isn't. We're just saying there are certain foundations to yoga that are fundamental, and yoga can then flower and be anything it wants. Beginner's mind is wonderful. 90% of your comment, I agree. All right, Mighty, awesome talk. Thanks for your info and your insights. Bikram yoga. Denise, I think you're great and you can never bore me. Thank you, Denise. Thank you for caring. I do care, and it's fun to care. Jessica just left a link in the comments. Thank you. Jacqueline, thank you for your insight. Jody, and many yoga studios are replacing incredibly trained, experienced teachers with teachers that have had a 3-week training if they have a yoga butt, because they sell more seats and because they're cheaper. Jody, amen. I mean, that's happened in local yoga studios here in Boulder. Jacqueline, Michigan. Lori, Louisville. I got my Louisville slugger around here somewhere. Let's have a whoop for non-judgment. I think, again, judgment is great, but I think, so I'm not going to give you a whoop, but I think prejudgment is a problem. Again, you're judging that non-judgment is better. So judging just happens. Judging is how we discern or have insight or look at the world and say, this might be healthy, this might be genuine, this might not be. Prejudging is the problem, prejudice. Mighty, I love yoga and find the amazingness in every yoga teachers. Oh my God. So many good comments. Great book, How Yoga Works. Yeah, that open letter to a fat girl or the only other fat girl in yoga class is an amazing Elephant article. Please read it. Hopefully it's in the comments. Heather, thank you for mentioning that. Brianna, beautiful comment. Teaching beginners is hands down my favorite. Go study with Brianna, people. To help establish a strong foundation in breath, intention, and form is the highest honor. There are fantastic questions. Leslie, you're saying bye. See ya next time. Leslie is a regular, very sweet. Linda, regarding ahimsa, yes, a basic leg of yoga. Eating meat is a tough one, but the Dalai Lama himself eats meat. Well, but that's not necessarily the best defense, because the Tibetans, so I grew up in the in a Buddhist community that had roots in the Tibetan community. Tibetans eat meat often because, in Tibet there wasn't much to eat. But Buddhists generally are instructed not to kill for pleasure. So if you have to do it for health or something, I would really genuinely question that yourself and try and eat in a healthy way without meat. We have tons of blogs about vegan transition and eating vegan healthfully, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. I can't. I can say do this, but you over there will say I do whatever I want. So I'm not in charge of you. You're in charge of you and your conscience. So, have a great time. I would just say, for myself, I stopped eating meat when I felt like I was healthy. I was fully grown. I'm 200 pounds or 195, whatever. I'm active. I feel great. Hot yoga. Migraines. We do have some great articles. Maybe Travis, you could find one, or Valentina, you could search on Elephant about migraines, yoga, migraines, wellness. We have some great migraines articles if you suffer. Yes, Linda, exactly, on hot yoga. Rodney says that the external heat gives the body a false sense of mobility and injury can occur. It's also very dehydrating. So it can be done if you're doing it carefully, but it can really stretch you in ways that are difficult when you aren't in that hot atmosphere. Slow yoga sounds great, Jody. All right, lots of recommendations. Tons of comments. I can't handle all the comments. Yeah, Tracy, so we just mentioned an eco-friendly yoga mat, Jade Yoga, and anyone, they're a sponsor of Elephant, but I, as Jade, and everyone knows, will criticize any sponsor if I find they're not eco. Travis, if you could put the Jade Yoga video in the comments about toxic yoga mats, and you can get free shipping. And we've already discussed the morality of mentioning ethical eco sponsors. All right, great comments, great comments, great comments. Agree with almost all of them. Yeah, Gaia.com has a bunch of resources. They're close to here in Boulder. I've been over there many, many times. There's my article about the difference between judging and prejudging. There's another recommendation for Gaia.com. What I've said about judgment is simple and eloquent. Thank you. Yeah, Justine, I agree, but, vegan types tend to go all caps about it. I don't think yelling at people is helpful, but I do love your enthusiasm. Help for post-chemo pain with stiffness. I don't know anything, but if you search on Elephant, we probably have some articles from people who have gone through similar. Alrighty, folks, this has probably been the most popular video, or one of them I've ever done. If you want to stick around, I'm going to do meditation for 2 minutes. And I like to meditate. So let's walk our talk and actually come into the present moment together. Wherever you are, you can take a good posture. You can root your sit bones, kind of rotate them back and forth and relax them, and connect with the ground, nurturing below you. Let's meditate now. We can leave off the comments if you like, although you can throw in a share or a like if you want to share this with others. So root your sit bones, connect your head with the heavens above. Good posture. Find your breath and relax. So let's all meditate together. This is shamatha, which is Buddhist resting the mind in the present moment practice. You can do this anytime during the day, but please don't multitask when you're doing this. Don't be on your phone. Don't be at work, pretending to work. Just take a moment to do this. Breathe in, breathe out. Just find your breath, your beautiful, sweet breath, your healing breath in and out. It's okay to do nothing for one moment in your day. Your shoulders might relax as you find your breath. Just breathe in and breathe out. If you're worried about what to do, what the technique is, just breathe in and out. If you find yourself thinking about lunch, about your work, about your duties, about your stress, about this discussion, just label that. Say, I'm thinking, label it thinking, and return your attention to your breath. And then you would simply practice until you're fully present with your breath. So label my voice, any distraction, label it thinking, return to your breath. Then we could end with a bow of mutual respect. Any of you who have appreciated this video, please give it a like or share. That'll just help it get out beyond the choir. And thank you so much. I bow to you. And my dog is somewhere, he bows to you too. So please give it a like or a share if you appreciate it. Let's get this beyond the choir to all those who might give a care about living a more mindful, genuine life. And we do these every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. MST. And so many people are liking it. It's really beautiful to see here. It's kind of cool how they display that. Thank you, Leslie Hernandez. Thank you, Justine Garrett. And if you want to get these videos in more succinct, shorter ones, and all my interviews and all my interviews with great yoga folks, you can subscribe. Click subscribe on youtube.com/Elephant Journal. Thank you to Alice Peck. Thank you to Justine and Pamela. And you guys can all continue in the comments to recommend great yoga teachers and where you live. So thank you again. Yeah, thank you, Trucy. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Lorna. It's nice to say people's names. Thank you, Fur Combaros. Thank you, Candace Davis. Thank you, Mary Jo. I'm just sorry if I missed your name. There's a lot of... yoga training in New York. Hopefully someone in the comments can recommend. I live in Colorado, so I don't know. Stacy, thank you. You too. Allie, any recommendations for a great yoga teacher training in New York? I would think Dharma Mitra would be amazing. Who else would be amazing? I just haven't practiced yoga in New York that much. Oh, Elena Brower, I like. But there's probably less famous teachers who are wonderful. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Paige. All right, we'll do this again tomorrow. And hello to the beautiful Hannah Jean.